The last 2 years I've lived in the US, and I think the US is an amazing country, but in this video I'm gonna cover 9 things I don't like about the US that I wish would be different. So let's just get into the list. Here we go. So the first one is healthcare cost. As you know, in the US, healthcare is really expensive, and I pay between $300 and $400 a month for my healthcare. And this is very different versus a country like Denmark, the country I'm from, where healthcare is public and not private. So this is something I don't like. I think in general it's a little messy, the whole thing. Also, there've been a lot of paperwork, and in general I think it's a bit of a mess, and there's so much politics into it, and also people say there's a lot of corruption and different interests in this. I don't really know. What I know is that me as an individual feel it is expensive and it's annoying and complicated and not just easy like many places in Europe. So this is the first one that I don't like in the US. And then the second one is gun violence. Actually, I've been to a shooting range a few times and I think it's a lot of fun, but that is still very different from a lot of people having guns because it just seems a little unnecessary. And I think in general it would be better if there were not all these guns in the country, but of course, again, this is a full industry and there's so many interests, and I guess it have just developed into this, but definitely not something that I'm a big fan of. Then the third one I have a hate-love relationship to, and that is working a lot. I think that it's amazing in the US that people work a lot because it shows that there's a lot of drive, a lot of things is happening, and for sure different from Europe. Though that said, I think there's a lot of people that just work to live basically. So they have 2-3 jobs and they're just trying to survive, and because the society is in a certain way, it's just difficult for them to survive, and they just need to work just to buy some food or the most basic things. And I think here maybe it's a little too tough sometimes for some people that they need to work so much and have no time to just enjoy life, because that is also a really important part of life. Then the next one is inequality, and it's a little related to what I just talked about before. You see a lot of really rich people and also a lot of homeless people, and I feel the gap is just too big sometimes. I am a big believer in the individual, that I think that if you're successful, you should keep a lot of your money because I think you deserve it. If you've been successful, you should keep that money. That being said, I think that there is a lot of people that is in trouble or need some help, and I wish that the states or the government, federal government, would do more to help all these individuals that have a lot of problems. And you really see it so many places in the US that there's a lot of people struggling, and I wish this would be a little better. Again, in my country, Denmark, you don't see any homeless people, or at least almost no homeless people. So it would be great that there was done a little more to help these individuals. That would increase the wealth in the US and also be more safe and things like that. Alright, before we continue with the list, can you do me one big favor and hit the like and subscribe button? That will make me make more content like this. Thank you so much, and let's continue with the list. Then the next one on the list is food. So I think the food is better in Europe than it is in the US. Though I would say that there is many great restaurants in the major cities. When I'm in LA, I can find many amazing restaurants, but I would also say that if you choose the local restaurant around the corner, it would in most cases be better in Europe. Of course, when I say Europe, is also such a broad concept because it really depends on the country. If it's Italy or France or Spain or even Scandinavia, I would say it is better. But if you take Germany or maybe East Europe, then maybe it's the same level as the US. So, but it's all subjective. I just think in general the food is a little better in Europe. But of course you can still find amazing food in the US, and there's amazing grocery stores. I love to go to the supermarket in the US. I think there's so many great options in the bigger cities. So it's not all black and white. There is different ways that is better in the US and better in Europe. I love going to the diner in the US. I love going for a lunch in Denmark. I love going for a dinner at an Italian restaurant. So it really depends on your personal preferences. But the only general thing I can say is that maybe it is a little more fresh when you go to a restaurant in Europe. And also, yeah, a little better ingredients. Also in Europe, there's a little more restrictions on what you can add into the different products and all, which protects the consumer a little more. So I would say it is a little better in Europe. Then the next one on the list is lack of culture and history in the US. So you, as a European, you can feel that there's not this same deep history and culture. And again, I haven't been to every corner of the US, so of course I'm being very general when I talk about this, and the same for Europe. But I would say you can feel there's more history and culture when you're in Europe, and that's also for a good reason. The US have so many other amazing things, but I think this is not something where the US is the strongest for sure. But of course you can find museums and so many other things, and it's also not something I am super obsessed with, so I'm not the expert here really. I'm just saying when I arrive in the US, you can feel there's not that same history or deep feeling of culture, and here happened so many things in the past. It is like, okay, here's the new big commercial hotel, and over here there's this other investment, and it's a little more in this way things are put together, or the feel you have when you're in the US. And the next one on the list that is a little related is lack of style and architecture. I would also say in the US there's not the same feel for style and architecture. I would say when you walk around in a beautiful European city, it feels like a fairy tale versus many American cities that often feels a little more boring, or the architecture is not that impressive. There is of course beautiful cities in the US, but this is something I would say generally speaking is better in Europe. And of course, again, it's because it's older in Europe and it looks more pretty for that reason, I guess. I would also say Americans don't have the best style. I think in Europe we have a better feel for what is good style. If we go to a restaurant or whatever other event, we have a bit of a better feel for how to dress and all, where I feel Americans are a little more relaxed or doesn't have the same feel. Again, this is subjective, but this is how I see things with my European eyes. Then the next one on the list is the political situation that I feel is becoming very negative. I think that the US have so many opportunities, but I feel that it is a bit like watching kids bullying each other. When you see the Republicans and the Democrats, it's not very constructive, and it's all about this person is stupid and that person is stupid, and no one have really any respect for each other. And I think this is something that you should not be proud of, because I think the most important thing is that you respect your opponent, you respect other people, especially if it's an American to an American. They both have an interest in helping the US. So why not respect other people from your own country and try to meet in the middle and all that. I know this is very naive maybe of me to say. This is just my observation, again, being European, and I see that politics in Europe is a little more sophisticated, if I should put it that way. I mean, it's with more respect, it's a better tone, and it's not all this extreme to extreme. So this is something I think is also in a bit of a negative development currently, but I also am a positive person, so I believe these things can change. I think that in the future things can get much brighter. So it's not because I think it's the end of the world. It's just I think the US is in a little darker period of history right now, with being so hot on hot and all. And the last one on this list is bureaucracy. So it's been really interesting after I moved to the US how many letters I get all the time and how much paperwork that can be from time to time, where in Europe you don't really receive many letters anymore. Most of it is digital, more automized. And with some of these things I feel really like the US is so much behind. It's really going back in time. This is something where I feel, oh my god, there's so much administration and there could be so much better in the US. So that is the last one on the list. Something that for sure can be improved over time is just putting in the investment, I think, in putting more innovation in and automizing more things. So that was the 9 things I don't like about the US, though I think there's so many other amazing things in the US. I made other videos where I talk about more of the positive things. Let me know what you don't like about the US, drop a comment, and also remember to hit the like and subscribe button. That will make me make more videos like this. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again very, very soon.